Hello, welcome back to Pinkun Classics. We're taking another delve into the archive today. I think this is the first time that we've watched a Norwich City defeat, I think, to memory, but I'll let Clarkey explain why that is in a moment. We're going back to 1982. This is the year the Queen commemorated her Pearl Jubilee. The Falkland War began. Eurovision was won by Germany in the UK. Tottenham won the FA Cup. They beat QPR 1-0. And Ipswich Town manager Bobby Robson became England boss.
Nice.
Clarkey, I'm going to leave you to explain why we're watching the game that we're watching today. I'll essentially hand you over the reins to explain the game and the context around it. So off you go.
Well, of course, I'm the only one here old enough to remember it. Downsy and yourself and Tony also young.
No, I remember it, mate. Don't worry.
You're still a lot younger, though, mate.
Yeah.
So basically, this was May 1982, as you said. Norwich went to Hillsborough needing a point to get promotion, to bounce back straight back after being relegated the previous year. But that's only a very small part of it, because on Boxing Day 1981, Norwich, believe it or not, was 16th in the Division 2, as it was then, table, after a 3-1 defeat to Luton. Even during January and February, when things slightly improved, we were still languishing around mid-table, going nowhere. Lots of disquiet. Obviously, relegation the previous year had left fans not in a great way. But all of a sudden, a certain Martin O'Neill, which I'm sure most of you will have different memories of down the years, his association with the Canaries, he came in and pretty much pulled the squad up by everything that he could. Brought a real resolve and a real grit to that midfield. And believe it or not, I think it was in the last 16 games of that season, City won 13 of them. And that was the first season of 3 points for a win. So that really made a difference. And when momentum built up, it really put us in the mix. So yep, heading to Hillsborough.
Hang on a minute, Clark. Yeah, I'm going to interrupt here.
Yeah, go on then.
Because that seems a good time to mention the 3 points for a win thing. We wouldn't have been promoted without it.
That's a great stat.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'll come to more of that later, but hold fire on that, and you carry on. Sorry, chap.
Wait, so this was the last season before that, was it?
No, this
was the first season of 3 points for a win. Yeah.
But Dowd's point's a really good one. That if it had been the old 2 points for a win, we wouldn't have gone up. So on that day, about 11,000. I know the commentary we're going to hear says 10,000, but people always say there was 11, maybe even 12,000 Norwich fans packed in. Almost half of the crowd at Hillsborough that day were in yellow and green. So that's probably a bit of context there, if that helps, Connor. And the rest, as they say, is wonderful history.
And before we start it, Sheffield Wednesday, were they also going for promotion at the time?
Yeah, they actually ended up just a place, I think, behind Norwich. So they were still in with a shout. Leicester were very much in with a shout. They were at home to Shrewsbury that day, so clearly they'd expected to do well. And if Norwich did slip up, they would take advantage. But
I've done a bit of revision on this actually. Basically, Leicester were the only team that could overtake us on the final day. They had 2 games to go, so if they beat Shrewsbury at home, they would then have a chance to win the final game of the season to overtake us. So it wasn't quite all up for grabs on the final day, but it was only Leicester who could overtake us at that point.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think I was 11, maybe just 12 then, and it was my first ever away game. And when you see what happens, I was hoping that every away game would be the same, which, as we all know, as having been to many away games over the years, it's not quite like that, but it was an extraordinary day.
It certainly was. Right, should we get started then, gents? Of course, if you want to watch along, I think the footage is slightly. We missed the first goal, essentially, don't we? The first Sheffield Wednesday goal. So
yeah, we are 1-0 down at this point.
Yeah, we joined the footage with Norwich being 1-0 down. There'll be a link in the description where you can find the footage so you can watch along with us. I will, as always, count down from 3, and then we shall click play. Are you all ready, gents? Have you got it up?
Good
yeah.
All set.
Perfect. 3, 2, 1. Let's play. We'll begin with that throw-in.
Greg Downs.
Yeah.
And this is the Norwich fans behind the goal here, isn't it?
Norwich fans, yeah. The whole Leppings Lane end was absolutely full. And those scenes behind there were extraordinary. Great cross from Dave Bennett, who was a terrific left winger in the day, and a certain Keith Birching. He got his head to it. He was a real character. The older fans will remember what a great player he was.
I think the young people now would describe that as limbs, wouldn't they?
It was limbs and some. And also for the older fans, Jerry Harrison's actually doing the commentary. He was a very regular in the probably 70s, 80s, maybe even to the 90s, doing the ITV commentaries.
Lovely little dummy there.
It was strange commentary because he didn't actually give any context to what the goals meant as it went through. So it's a bit strange. He just was sort of saying, well, that's an equaliser.
He 1-1 in.
He mentioned before the goal about the Norwich fans were sort of, when we saw it at the throw-in, sort of celebrating a little bit anyway. Is that because Leicester had fallen behind?
That's a really good point. I think so.
No, Leicester drew 0-0.
Leicester was still drawing. So but obviously once that goal went in, then a draw would have seen us up anyway. So that was why it was.
It was sort of filtering through that they were still drawing.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Ross Jack could have really sealed it, but just was he'd come on a sub, Ross Jack, for Mark Barham, who was playing on the right wing before he went off.
That must be one of the last sponsorless shirts as well, is it?
You love your shirts, Tony, don't you?
Are they not sponsored?
I can't see one on there. No.
I think you're right, but I think the next season would have been Poland Withy Windows.
Yeah.
There we
So
are.
that must have been the first one.
Look at that.
Right, so yellow and green. This is the bit, isn't it, where you get sort of the battle of On the Ball City and You'll Never Walk Alone. It's quite a nice bit there in the audio.
There goes Downs. Good name.
Down in the channel. There we go.
Is it your brother, Steve?
Yeah, I don't think so. He's got a different spelling.
And he's 20 years older.
And a bit more ability. We are both left-footed, though.
Yeah. There was only a couple of minutes ago, actually, I think it was probably the last minute.
Mel Sterland, Gary Bannister.
Other fan.
So who's going to talk about the fan on the pitch then?
This should have been disallowed, shouldn't it?
So,
So
was that a Norwich fan on the pitch?
They christened him the Milk Train Man, apparently.
Yeah.
Because he was dressed all in black. That's what Greg Downs said after the game. And he went for the header, didn't he?
Yeah. This replay shows it really well, doesn't it? So, Sterling, great cross, actually. Just to the right of the picture, there he is. Absolutely. I think of all the extraordinary sights in football, that's got to be up there, hasn't it?
Yeah. And is this one of the most futile pitch invasions ever? Yeah. They run on the pitch to celebrate, even though they couldn't get promoted.
They missed out by 1 point.
Yeah. They weren't going to go up anyway.
No.
So they just ran on the pitch for the sake of running on the pitch then?
And those were the days when managers and coaches just like punch fans, like Cloughy famously did.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's Big Jack.
Jack Charlton, yeah.
Jack Charlton, the Sheffield Wednesday manager.
Great two-piece there from Jack.
He's dishing out some instructions to the fans to keep off the pitch.
Boards are broken.
So I guess at this stage, then, obviously we're 2-1 down, but Leicester are still only drawing. So, and I'm trying to remember that I guess people we'd have had a transistor radio in the crowd, so we probably would have roughly known that Leicester were drawing. But obviously it was a bit squeaky bum.
There's a pass back there.
Yeah, the old pass back days when the keeper could pick it up.
I think I also spotted a little bit later a certain Gary Megson in the heart of the Sheffield Wednesday midfield.
Yeah, he was, yeah.
Yeah. Later City manager and player and all sorts.
And keepers then always kicked it out from their hands. There's none of this sort of rolling it on the ground and kicking it out. It was always in the hands, straight up there with the big boot.
It's getting quite scrappy now, isn't it?
It is.
Christy Woods.
Chris Woods, best keeper I've ever seen at Carrow Road.
Oh, there you go. He's rolled it out to himself and picked it back up.
You don't see any of that nowadays, do you? Long kick forward.
Not much, no. You could
There
do
we are.
pass backs then as well. Oh, here we go. Off we go.
And another pitch invasion.
Look at them sprint.
I like it. Trying to get out of there.
He gets trapped, doesn't he, in a minute? There.
It's a bit like the end of a 1980s Test match
It's-
where they grab the stumps and do a runner.
Yeah. So obviously, where we
Celebrating
were
another
at
season
the
in
other end,
Division
they were the days when the cages were all up. So there was no way, even if we could have done, the Norwich fans were going to get on.
So I guess at this stage, Clarkey, it was transistors pinned to the ear to see if Leicester had been held to a draw.
Yeah, absolutely. And I seem to remember that the result came in 5 minutes or so later. So, but then we knew. Until then, it was a bit worrying.
Hmm.
It's weird celebrating promotion with a defeat, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of Worthington's
The
group did it,
Sunderland,
didn't
wasn't
they?
it?
Yeah, we did. We weren't playing that day, were we? Sunderland lost, and we celebrated going up.
At a reserve game, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I think that was the most recent one, wasn't it, where they've gone up with a defeat?
Yeah, I think that's only twice it's ever happened.
Mm.
Yeah.
We got this
But,
song as well. That you
Oh,
sent
yeah.
down, Clarky.
Yeah, it was one I remember. I'd wondered that I'd been dreaming because I thought to myself there was definitely a promotion song that year, and then I thought, well, no, probably wasn't. And then I did a bit of googling, and it suddenly appeared. But it was an amazing one. Have we got the link? Have we? We're just
Yeah, I've
gonna.
got it up. Something to Shout About, it's called.
Yeah, I can't even remember who produced. I think it was just some sort of like local musician who decided to record it.
Was it quite popular?
I think among a certain type of fan it was, yeah. But that would have been the early days of local radio. I think Radio Norfolk started about 1980, so I'm sure it would have been played on that and on Radio Broadland all the time. But it's the way that it name checks every player, and there's a mention to John Bond in there who'd obviously been Norwich manager in the late 70s, left to go to Man City, and there was a lot of acrimony when he left. So I think the prospect of Norwich going to play Man City, because obviously they were in the top flight then, sort of filled a lot of fans with a bit of mouth-watering prospect. So there's a special mention for him in it as well.
Yeah, we'll leave a link to that song. I have listened to it. It's quite something, isn't it? It's, I mean, it's unique is probably the best word to describe it.
Uniquely awful.
You said that, not me. So yeah, we'll leave that down below. That is quite something to listen to. It's only just over 2 minutes, so it's well worth checking out after you watch that game, especially if you're of that vintage, because it's as I said, it's unique. I think and there's not too many Norwich City songs about, is there? After successes like that, maybe someone should have created a Wembley song after they won the playoff final in 2015.
Well, Downsy was the one. Was there a Wembley song? I don't remember one.
I don't remember one. I don't remember one after the Milk Cup win either.
No.
We've not really been up for songs much, have we? Maybe the next
haven't won
glory
much.
we'll do one.
let's hope so. There's always the FA Cup songs, isn't there? There's a famous Tottenham one which they played in the FA Cup when we all went to Spurs about a month ago when Norwich won on penalties. They played it before.
Oh, you mean Aussie's dream, don't you?
That's it. Yeah, that's the one.
Spurs are on their way to Wembley.
That's
Chaz
it.
and Dave.
Yeah.
We need someone like John Rogers. Come on, if you're watching, John, you need to be getting.
I was thinking that. Yeah.
You need.
It just reminds me of Mike Bassett when they record the song. It's just what it reminds me of.
I think that's about it. We've gone through the game. Norwich City are promoted. How'd they get on in the following season, Clarky? Can you remember?
That's a really good question. I can't
Yeah,
Downsy will know.
They had an okay season. They finished mid-table.
Nice.
There you go.
But it was kind of they had 3 seasons up, 1 season down, and then we're in the top for another 10 seasons. So they had a pretty good spell after going up this year.
Absolutely, yeah. Quite an important game in the grand scheme of things, then.
And I'll just quickly give you the stats about that 3 points for a win. If it had been 2 points to win, as it was every other season, then that late winner by Sheffield Wednesday would have promoted them.
Of course.
So it was literally that, every other season before that, like 100 seasons or something. And it would have swung on that moment. Norwich would have got promoted with the equaliser. Wednesday would have got promoted with the winner. So, yeah, Norwich were happy with that change, I think.
Maybe
Well,
that's
maybe
why
that's
they
why there was
invaded
a
the
pitch invasion, because their fans were hoping that they'd suddenly change it back to 2 points and they'd go up.
Yeah, they
Just
hadn't worked it
a
out.
thought.
Quite possibly. Quite possibly. Right, gents, thank you very much for joining me. That was good fun. We'll be back next week with another game to watch from Norwich City era. If you've got a game that, in particular, that you remember that you'd like us to watch, then make sure you comment down below and let us know, or get in touch with us via Twitter and all the other social media places. You know where to find us by now. Thank you very much for joining us. Of course, leave a like, subscribe to the Pinkun YouTube channel if you're new as well. Plenty more of this sort of thing, especially at the moment in these strange times. Hope you're staying safe, and we'll see you all again very soon next week. Thank you very much for watching.